welcome back to Red Cedar Radar. I'm Sydney. I have three special guests this week. We just keep going up in number of guests every week. I am joined by some national champions this week. MSU Club Dodgeball won a national championship, first in program history. So I've invited a couple members of the squad to come and kind of talk about their experience playing college dodgeball and kind of give a background on the rules and kind of how their season is built so that everyone is able to follow along next year when they go for their second national championship. Okay, so I just want to go around and do a little bit of an introduction about each of you and who you are. So, Nick, let's start with you. So, give a little bit of your background, why you chose to come to MSU, and kind of where you are in your career here at school.
Yeah, so I'm Nick Fidua. I'm a current junior at Michigan State. I came to Michigan State because my dad grew up in the area. My mom went here, had a lot of connections, just kind of felt like home, and obviously scholarships and stuff like that also helped. So I'm a junior studying electrical and computer engineering. This is my first year playing dodgeball, so I'm a rookie. That's kind of where I am.
Okay, Ethan, go ahead.
Hey, my name's Ethan Rohrig. I'm a senior here at MSU. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Everyone from my high school was either going to Pitt or Penn State, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to travel out, and MSU is just a beautiful campus, and they had my major of now being a biomedical lab science student. I started dodgeball just because I saw it at the club fair, and I saw a bunch of guys just throwing around a dodgeball, and it reminded me so much of all the fun times we had playing it in high school, and I just stuck around ever since.
Okay, Daquan, last but not least, of course.
I'm Daquan McLean, otherwise known as DQ, like Harry Queen, of course. I'm also a senior at MSU studying electrical and computer engineering. Also assistant captain on the team. I chose MSU because I like the campus here, and also I heard like a lot of good things about the campus, about the alumni, about the different opportunities that you have here. So yeah, that's why I chose here.
Okay, great. So, did you all find out about dodgeball through the club fair, or were there some different avenues that you found out about how to play?
I would say my freshman year, I found out about dodgeball also through participation. I was actually looking for basketball and volleyball, and the seniors at the time, or the juniors at the time, they tossed the ball in my direction, and I caught it. And they're like, "Hey, you look athletic. You should join dodgeball." So they kind of wheeled me in and kept me since then.
I would say that I kind of had a similar story. Yeah, this past year, it's participation. I was actually on my way out, wasn't even really looking for dodgeball, was on my way back to my apartment and just walking by the last couple tables that were there and happened to see it. Said that looks pretty fun, so showed up to the first practice and been history ever since.
So, I wanted to know a little bit more about how you get on the team. So, are there tryouts? What's kind of the setup to become a part of the roster?
So at least for our team, we don't have traditional tryouts. We don't have a set date where people will all come in and hope to make the team. We have open practices each week, and we allow new members to come in every week. And when we decide to make a roster for an upcoming tournament, we decide the captains, the coaches, we decide that week who's been coming to practices a lot, who's been making the efforts, and just showing the dedication that they want to be on the team for that tournament. And each roster can potentially change.
Okay, so moving into a little bit more of the background information because you're kind of leading towards that already. I checked out your Instagram, which is great, by the way. Um, you had a little frequently asked questions, and I kind of checked out the rules there. But for those that don't know, first of all, how many players can be on a team? And then we'll kind of get into more of the nitty gritty of the rules.
For players on the team, there are 18 that we talk about on for the roster, but there are only 12 of those that play on the court at one time.
And then kind of what Ethan touched on, is it just based off like who's showing up, who's doing, putting in the work that gets to play, or how do you decide to kind of how to limit that roster down when it comes to game time?
So yeah, it's also like if you show dedication, but we still do want to win some games, of course. So we pick the players that are either like doing really good or that are showing like they're picking up the material and have the potential to improve upon their game to help boost the club for winning tournaments in any type of manner. So whether that's catching or throwing, or even how we have a bunch of role fillers as well. So you may not have like the best arm or you might not be the best catcher, but if you can play your role really well in a spot where you can fit the team and listen to like the game plan or the strategies, and then we're looking at you to come and help us out potentially win nationals. So
Yeah, okay, that's great. Now, I want to get into the rules a little bit more. So, you had a nice breakdown on your Instagram of kind of the different pieces and parts. Um, can you kind of walk me through what the specific rules about are, what the specific rules are about, sorry, um, like the catch, the team catch, and the block? Nick, can you break those down for me a little bit?
Yeah. So basically, each team, almost kind of like basketball, you have a shot clock. So you have 15 second. Each team has 15 seconds to throw a ball within what they call the LAZ. Basically, you have 15 seconds to throw it within a playable area of a person. So like somewhere where they can either like try to make a catch or that it's close to hitting them. And then as far as catches go, oh, and with the shot clock, once you get down to 5 players or less, then your shot clock goes down to 10 seconds. And then as far as catches and stuff like that, I think it's pretty similar to how like we all played dodgeball as a kid. You get a catch, the person who throws it goes out. You bring one of your teammates in, and then as far as team catches, if say DQ it were to hit off DQ and I were to catch it, whoever threw it is safe. They're not out, but we still get to bring a teammate in. But then can block if you're holding a ball in your hand. You can block that. You don't want to block it in yourself because if it hits you after your block, you're still out. But if you say if I were to block it into DQ, he's safe because I was the one that blocked it. So pretty similar to how we all played as a kid. But I think the big difference would be like the shot clocks and having to make like legit throws in order to, because if you don't make like a legitimate throw, then you have to give all your balls over to the other team, and it's obviously not an ideal situation when you have everyone on the other team with a ball staring you down. So yeah,
Yeah, that does not sound ideal. You're right. So, talk to me about yellow and red cards. What are the rules there?
I'll let DQ or Ethan handle that. I've never really experienced that.
So you don't see it too often that yellow or red cards are handed out. I'd say a majority of the NCDA abides the rules fairly well, but yellow cards are essentially like your first warnings if you break a rule. A common one would be if you false start before the game officially starts when the ref says both sides are ready. Dodgeball, if someone were to run before that's called, that's a false start. You get a warning. If it happens again, you get a yellow card, and that forces your captain or one of your captains to sit out for that point. And obviously, that can be very detrimental. I think we had a yellow card happen over nationals from a player that I won't name from a Ohio University. Got a little emotional during the game, and a chair may or may not have been thrown. And obviously, these kind of things where you have to definitely keep your emotions in check. You know, you can't be out just shouting obscenities at the refs or at the crowd. Definitely have to keep yourself composed. These kind of things will get you carded. Um, I don't think I've ever seen a red card get distributed. I don't know if you have DQ, but I think if you get a red card, I think that's potential for team disqualification, or if it's a specific player, they would have to sit out for the rest of the entire match altogether.
I think
Interesting
for the
that the
red
chair
card,
throwing doesn't constitute a red card, but I wasn't there, so I can never say. What were you saying, Nick? Go ahead.
I said I think from what I've heard, a red card, um, like where's a yellow card, that actually happened in a game that I was commentating where the player threw the chair. Um, he was actually one of the captains, so he sat out the next point. Whereas, but they still like had 12 players. They were still able to play with 12 players. I think a red card, from what I've heard, then you drop down to 11 players, and I'm not sure if it's either for that next point or for the rest of the game. So obviously, I mean, a yellow card you don't want, but a red card hurts you a lot more.
So talk to me a little bit about the length of the game. So you've mentioned different points. What's the setup with timing? How long do these games or matches usually last?
They're supposed to only be 25-minute halves. Um, but with the timeouts or with the like stoppages, it can easily go more than that. So we're playing around an hour, maybe an hour, 10 or 20 minutes of dodgeball, depending on the given time. And that's only with the two halves that we have. Um, if the game goes into overtime, depending on what scenario you're in, overtime can be limitless, like it was at Nationals, or it can have a set time on it. And I
Okay,
believe that set time is 16 minutes, I believe.
okay. Moving on from the rules, that kind of gives a picture a little bit of how things are set up. I want to talk a little bit more about the regular season. So I was looking on your Instagram and I kind of got a feel for like the regular season standings and the rankings. And from what I saw, you were pretty much near or at the top the whole time. How is the regular season set up and what does travel look like for that?
I would say, as far as like tournaments go, being my first year is kind of learning what it's all like. And so basically, different schools will host different events. Like I know our first tournament was actually at Ohio, where Nationals was. We went down there for a Saturday, played three different teams. I think we played Cincinnati, Ohio, and Cleveland State when we went down in the fall. And so most of the time, those like during the season, quote unquote tournaments are just you're playing maybe 2 to 3 games against different schools, just kind of being able to play other schools who you aren't seeing twice a week at practice, which is nice to be able to hit some other people for once. But so we basically, yeah, just different schools will host different events. We'll try and get um, obviously other schools to come, and so we went to Ohio and Western in the fall, and then we went to Grand Valley in the beginning of the spring, and then we usually host MDC, which is like the Michigan Dodgeball Cup, usually hosted here in East Lansing since it's kind of a central location for all the Michigan teams. Um, and so that's played pretty much like round robin, but and then whoever has the best record at the end of the day is the champions. And then some schools have a couple more tournaments. We unfortunately weren't able to find any more tournaments between MDC and Nationals, or weren't able to get enough interest from other schools to host another tournament of our own. And then Nationals kind of, I think everyone can go as long as you play 3 games, I think is like the requirement. So yeah, pretty much just finding different schools around the year to go have some matches with, just kind of all leading up to MDC. And then like the Ohio region has the Ohio Dodgeball Cup, and then obviously ultimately leading to nationals.
Okay, so it's more of a self setup season. You kind of
Hmm.
have to find the tournaments and find the other teams to play. Okay, interesting, interesting. Um, Talk to me a little bit about um, going from the regular season play to like the national championship play. Is there any difference between the games? Any different rules? Any different expectations? Or is it just kind of like a continuation of what you've already been doing?
Go ahead, Ethan.
Aside from uh, knowing your opponents, because once you get to nationals, you know they have a preset um, list of matches that you'll make on Saturday. But all the rules are the same. Everything about the game itself is the same. But those standings that you make during the regular season by going to multiple tournaments, Um, you take that current standing, you bring it into the first day of nationals, and those first few games are worth double the points. They can swing your seeding a lot more, especially if you lose. I know where we were the number one seed going in, and we played the number four seed, the number five seed, and the number 10 seed. And those points for us, we won all three of our games. Those points for us helped a lot because some of the other schools like Grand Valley and Cincinnati, who I think both of them, I know Grand Valley did. I can't remember if Cincinnati did. If they won all of their games as well, the points that they accrue versus the points that we accrue could have raised them higher. But we were thankful enough that we still stood at the number one seed at the end of the day. And that final seeding after the first day of nationals starts the bracket play for day two, makes the actual bracket where it's single elimination. You know, you lose for one game and you're done. Whereas the first day, it's just all for points.
So as you were talking, and you mentioned quite a few, and on the bracket there were quite a few Michigan teams. Um, I just went and looked on the NCDA dodgeball Instagram page. There are 46 Final Four appearances from the state of Michigan in the championship. Is Michigan like the dodgeball hub of America that I didn't know?
Ohio might tell you otherwise, but Michigan owns it
They would. They would try to
always.
tell you otherwise, of course. Interesting. I did not know that. How long has this tournament, the national championship, been running? Do you know the length of time in years?
DQ, might as well look at the trophy. It's got the
I
Well,
asked Becca today because that's on the list, and she said 2003.
yeah.
that would be the time it says on here is 2003, so 20 years. It's also the 20th year that our club has actually been established as well.
Okay,
Yep.
so in it right from the beginning. All right. Interesting.
Well, actually, I do believe that it started in the 90s, I believe, 94. I want to say it was 94.
The league in general, but and then the tournament.
But yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, Other questions here. So Ethan was a humble bragger, talked about how you won all of your games in the tournament. Talk to me a little bit more about the tournament. How many days does that span? And like timing of games. How many games do you usually have? How close are they together? Kind of give me a feel for what it looks like when you're there.
So I would say that for, are you talking about nationals specifically or just
Yeah,
nationals?
nationals
Okay.
specifically. Yep.
Okay, so for nationals, it's only 2 days, but during those 2 days are usually the hardest on your body because it depends on how they actually set you up. You sometimes you have a game in between, or you can play back-to-back games. They usually are good, well, not good, but they're okay with time. So you'll get like a little bit of time in between games, but if they're running behind, they might cut like your 20-minute break short to maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. So you have to run from one court to another, and then you'll have an off game where another team plays, and then you'll go and play your last one. And it's usually only 3 games that you play for that bracket play on Saturday, and then however many games you make it through till on Sunday. And if you're unfortunate enough to have to do the play-in game, you will have an extra game, and you will start earlier.
Do you prefer having a game break or do you like the back to back?
I definitely prefer the game break because I don't know about Nick shaking his head. I don't know about y'all, but my shoulder is not good. So I need to at least like I got to keep it limber, but I need a break because if I play back to back, I can't. I don't know what to tell you. Like it's just gonna fall off. But for Sunday, I would say I prefer playing back to back, at least because it keeps my arm loose. But if we're playing on Saturday, I need to give my arm as much as a break as I can.
Nick, would you agree with that statement based off your head
Uh,
shaking or
no, it reminds me of old, playing club baseball tournaments as a kid. I always hated break games because you get all warm, finish one game, then you sit down for an hour and a half or whatever it is, and you just like tighten up and stuff like that. So I didn't like that on Saturday. I feel like it as far as our team, I feel like we come out slower in that second game coming out of the break. So I enjoyed Sunday. Granted, it was 4 games back to back pretty much, so it ends up being a long day, but I'd rather have that and just go from one to the other while you're still warm. Don't have to really re warm up or anything like that. Can just kind of keep the flow and adrenaline going throughout the day. So I would definitely play back to back, but I can see how DQ and his old body would maybe prefer that break.
It's the knees too. Don't forget the knees.
Him and Josh Kramer, our head captain, may have the oldest bodies on the team, and definitely at the end of the day, they need some help getting up. So
When you're a senior next year, you might feel that a little bit more. You're still a young buck right now, but
maybe, yeah. We'll see
No,
what he gets next year.
he's got to be the most athletic kid that we have on our team. I don't see
Yeah,
him getting old and rusty anytime soon.
I agree.
here's a question. Did you guys play sports and stuff in high school? What did you do before dodgeball that kind of that led you to this interest?
I guess I'll go.
I
Go ahead.
played baseball and basketball, so definitely the baseball aspect, like throwing motions, obviously a little bit bigger of a ball, but throwing motion and stuff like that, kind of what helped intrigue me into it.
I'll let Ethan go ahead.
Okay. I didn't do any sports with balls in them. I was in crew, like rowing with my older sister. So in that sense, I had a lot better stamina and endurance, but I was definitely not a ball thrower at all, and it definitely showed my freshman year playing dodgeball.
I'm gonna have to agree with Ethan. I did basketball, unfortunately cross country, even though I was a sprinter. My coach forced me into it, but I was a sprinter and a high jumper. So I can agree with Ethan. Throwing was not my strength. In fact, I still have times now where it flares up a little bit. Like we have this thing where it happens every so often. I will throw a ball and it will sail high, and they say go green because in IM West, I hit the actual go green like higher than the basketball hoops. So, yeah, I'm still like, it depends. I have to give excuses. It's the ball, but sometimes, yeah, it's just me not having to like grow up with that throwing motion. So, freshman year, I used to spike it in front of myself. Now it's an earlier release point. So I can definitely agree with what Ethan said. We were definitely not throwers growing up, so Nick had it easy.
You can blame it on the shoulder. Just
Yeah,
this little shoulder injury there. Yeah. Okay.
well, I only work so much.
Yeah. Right. Right. Talk to me a little bit about what it felt like to go undefeated that whole time. And I read it was the first undefeated championship since undefeated season championship since 2009. How exciting was that? Whoever wants to go, doesn't matter.
All right. I words can't even really explain how really great that felt. Because last year, uh, we were good last year. Like we were really good, but we weren't undefeated. And coming into the nationals this year, um, we had like everyone was either telling us they wanted to see us win or they wanted to see us lose. Of course, the people that we beat, it looks better for them that we win all the way, so they can say that they lost at the national champs. But of course, you're gonna have some haters sipping on that, cold haterade that want to see MSU lose. Of course, we have people that want to see our downfall throughout the whole year, but showing them, why we're as good as we are, and showing them like why we talk ourselves up. It feels like I can't even explain. It feels like extremely like satisfying just to show like we're all that we talked about doing, and then to cap off this year's win from last year's loss in nationals was the cherry on top. So it's really like truly amazing.
Okay, moving on. I want to talk about some favorite moments of each of yours from this past season. Ethan, you go ahead and go first.
Favorite moments is definitely tough because after a full fall and spring semester's worth of dodgeball, you pick up a lot of just good plays and great moments. I think one of my favorite, though, had to be from our first tournament, I believe, when we were facing off against Cincinnati and we only had Jack Gerling and Barry Butler left in play against Cincinnati, and I believe it was a 7-on-2 scenario, and they just pick off every single opponent in such like perfect manner. It was such a just a come from behind moment, but no one else can do it but those two. It was such a fantastic moment to just see.
Okay, Nick, go ahead. What's a favorite moment of yours?
I would say winning MDC was up there. I know it meant a lot to the seniors, but me personally, I would have to say um, hitting Ben Smart of GB to win
Oh
nationals in
yeah.
OT. I mean, like, I don't know, especially as a rookie being my first year, like, I have an idea of what nationals meant, and obviously experience it experiencing it for the first time was something else. It was great atmosphere, super intense. And I know what the seniors and returners had been through last year losing it, so being able to kind of cap it off, especially for them, send them out on a national championship win, definitely probably my top moment right there.
Okay, Daquan, what's yours?
I'm definitely gonna have to say nationals. Like, I mean, it's still pretty fresh. I mean, if it wasn't nationals winning, it would be piggybacking off what Ethan said, watching Jack Gerling, or what Ethan likes to call him, the Jack Attack. Watching him pick out just the players, especially when he went 1v8 versus Akron and came back and won it all for us. Won back a point. We were up, but he came back and he showed why he's MVP running. Just watching him, his precise throws. He usually does not miss. He edits, or not edits, but he adjusts how he throws based on the player and based on how they dodge or how they move, and he's pretty precise when he does it. So watching him just go to work. I mean, I get to watch him play next to him since freshman year. So that's definitely my favorite moment, just watching him like just put artwork into motion.
Okay, I want to switch gears for a second. Nick, talk to me a little bit about what it means to you being a Rookie of the Year front runner. What are the kind of who votes on that, or how do they decide Rookie of the Year candidates, and what does that mean to you?
I think like the captains for all the teams and the coaches, I think they're the ones who vote on, the All American list, the MVP, Rookie of the Year, the All Rookie list, that sort of deal. And so I don't know, ever since I've come to practice and throughout the first tournament, I've just been trying to do my best, do my role. And Becca and Kevin, our coaches, have been super supportive and like pushing out, getting my name and praising me out there. So a lot of like the hype I would give to them for kind of promoting me in a sense like that. But as far as me, just being able to, play a role on a team that has a lot of key players, the core four seniors, obviously they're the heart and soul of the team. Wouldn't be anywhere without them and their dedication to the team. But being able to have a significant role as a rookie, do that alongside Matt Baraball, another Rookie of the Year candidate for us. Dude's got a cannon of an arm, so just being able to perform at my best and have a big impact on the team, help them win nationals, has been an honor for me and glad to be a part of it.
So you kind of touched on it briefly. You have quite a few seniors, it seems that way. What will next year look like? Is anyone just sticking around for a fifth year just to play some more dodgeball, or are kind of the seniors all leaving?
I
We
would
are
hope.
all leaving.
We're out.
We are all leaving. The one you may get to see maybe for like a coach or he might be in an area would be head captain Josh Kramer, but he's also out. We're all out. He's gonna be the nearest one. I'm thinking in Detroit. Barry's gonna be nearby. Undecided yet. Maybe he might be at Grand Valley for grad school. So hoping not to see him on their team come next year or the year after. Um, I'm personally going to Massachusetts where I have my job lined up. And I'll be going to grad school, deciding once I work a few years. And then girling will also be in like Detroit area. So, but I think that we're all done after this.
So how many people will you need to replace then come next year? Is that like five, four, five,
6.
I think
six? Okay.
6, maybe 7 if you count Jacob Bishop. He wasn't able to play much this year. He had some medical issues going on, but he was also a senior with us. So I think about 7 people are gonna
Jacob
be
will be
out.
back.
Okay, he'll be back. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this and you want to play some dodgeball, look these guys up. I'm sure that they can get you in touch with the right people. They have an awesome Instagram that explains everything and anything, like I said, that you need to know about dodgeball. So check that out too. I'll have it linked down below. Um, I really have enjoyed talking about dodgeball, and I won't make any dodgeball jokes because you probably get that all of the time nonstop. Um, it's been a pleasure, and congratulations on a national championship. Hopefully, you can keep that streak going next year. Nick, maybe you'll have to be a captain or kind of lead them to victory on your own without some of those older guys around. But this will go on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast, so Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Subscribe to Spartans Illustrated, where you can get news on any different MSU athletics, including dodgeball. Now we've added that to our list. Last question, and then we will sign off here. What is your favorite sport besides dodgeball to watch or like be a part of at MSU? Are you football guys, basketball guys? What do you like?
Um,
So
Or
that's
none. You
definitely
can say
tough.
none.
I mean, I am a huge fan of the football season. I mean, I love my football Saturdays, Sundays, but our team is so up and down. I've always been a basketball guy, so I'm gonna have to say basketball. But football is a very close second with watching and tailgating season.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd have to fully agree with DQ there. The football season, we definitely have our ups and downs, but it's just so energetic to watch. Same with basketball. Um, I think next year, especially, we're gonna have such an electric team, so it's gonna be very, very enjoyable to watch.
And Nick, what about you?
I would say, yeah. I mean, can't go wrong with either or, but being lower bowl, middle of the zone on a game like Michigan or any big game, like you can't beat that. The atmosphere is electric. Everyone's on their feet and loud the entire game. You don't have a voice by the end of the game. Like it doesn't get much better than that. Breslin is one of the best venues in college basketball. So being able to experience that up close as a student in the student section is just amazing.
I would have to agree. Well, thanks so much, you guys, for coming on. And next week, I will be talking with Paul and Brendan from our team at Spartans Illustrated and kind of breaking down the spring football game and talking a little bit more about the QB competition from their perspective since they covered the game from the press box. Thanks so much for watching and see you next week. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about specific.
I'm so sorry.